Hello and welcome to step 2 part 2. I've gotten a lot more pieces made and done for this build. Thought I'd share them with you. Here, I'll turn the lighting on a little bit for you so you can see what's going on. Just gotta plug my light in. There we go. So, dealing with step 2, let's go with the final drive covers in that first. So that would be part B62, part A47, right here. This goes on like this to create this piece, and this goes on right here. So, just thought I'd show this real quick like. There, you can see, goes on like that. I have gone through, and that leaves a hole up here and some holes in this area. All this would have to be filled in if you wanted to show this with the side skirts off, potentially even with them on, because you can kind of see around the corner, so to speak. So anyways, that's the view of what is there. This is the piece that I designed. This includes a plug for up inside here, a plug for the side there. It reorients the final drive cover to the correct direction. The setup right here is correct for holding the sprocket, and now the final drive cover has the correctly thickened plate, which you can see is attempted by Tamiya but not there. Plus it has the slots that are prevalent on the real thing, and there are 2 bumps on the final drive cover, one here that has nothing specific to it, and one here that has what looks like a drain plug in it. So all of this is now represented. Personally, I think this looks a ton better. It matches the photos. It's got kind of a thicker, beefier look to it. And anyways, so I'm gonna put these both on. So you can see right here, again, just to directly contrast. There's that, there's this. I also have all the bolts around the entire rim like the real thing. So I'm just placing it in there. It still leaves a hole right here that'll have to be filled. Acknowledge that. But I wanted to get the parts in so people can see the build. I'm using my black super glue here. I'm gonna be just a little lavish with it. Like so. Put the part in. Yeah, you can see I wasn't paying attention to exactly where everything went. And with these pieces, if you end up getting them for your build, you'll have to do a little bit of work on them to get them to fit properly the way you want. A little sanding is what I'm getting at. Probably take a little bit here or there, but I mean, this is pretty much straight off the printer. And what I would recommend now that I'm doing this is put a little bit of the super glue on the back side. This is a better way to get this glued on because it's so flush tight otherwise. And that means that if you want to do some filling later on, you can without too much issue. Now that does leave me with a little bit of ugliness on those sides, but What I'm most concerned about is making sure that this is straight and level. You can see there's a gap down there right now. I'm gonna go and fill that in. So this is one of those cases where I came up with a really good idea on how to fix a problem, but how do you secure it to it is another matter. Personally, I prefer this kind of problem. Put a little accelerator on there and wait. So what I'm noticing is that right in this area could use a little bit of filing just to help that sit more flush. You know, maybe there's just a little bit of rigid material in there. 3D printing is such a new technology that it's really hard to know exactly what's going on. Is everything still square? Is there any bulging? Anything like that? I honestly don't know. To the best of my knowledge, with my eye, it looks fine, but you know, this looks like it's still got a gap down there. I'm gonna fit this back on right in there. That looks like it fits just fine. Now there's a little bit of a gap, but you know, I guess the comment to be used would be mind the gap. If that's I gotta admit, I'm not exactly sure how that that saying is used, so I'm gonna have to be careful and say I'm not sure exactly what I just said. But having now placed one on, what I'm going to do is put the super glue on the front edge. Like so, and then I'll catch the rest of it when I put it on the back side. And I'll be honest, I think this is probably the hardest of the new pieces to put on. Get that in there, that feels like it's nice and solid. So there's that. So with a little bit of work, I got this side pretty good, so I'm gonna see about fixing the other side real quick if I can. If I can't, well, I don't believe in the power of no you can't. I can always print another one. Which is true, but what I want to do actually is get the glue all the way down there so it's down the far side too, and that's the hard part. Now there are ways that I could be doing that to make it work better, such as well, having done this beforehand, or using the long thin tubing that you can buy in various hobby shops to put the glue, super glue, exactly where you want, the little loops for placing super glue, you know, whatever your fancy is. This is just me being quick and lazy. I'm okay with that. I'll see how it sits. I'm kind of kicking myself, but I gotta move on. I digress. So the next thing is here's the middle return roller. This is what Tamiya gives you. The outside, the inside, put it on, put it in there, and that's what you get. Not terrible, not really accurate. This is what it should be right here. It should be on a cone-shaped outlet, bolts for holding the piece on. Should go right there. The hub should be very similar, if not exactly the same as on the road wheels. And the road wheels should sit that far apart, which Tamiya came pretty close to, and they should have a very specific tapering on both sides for the rubber with a very distinctive rim. So I made brand new return rollers. So what I'm going to do is nip this off best I can, like so. In this case, I'm going to take my flat blade, and all I'm trying to do is get the major high pieces off, because I'm going to be super gluing that other one right on top of there. Put a little super glue on. And it's important to note that it should be 2 bolts to the top. That's the orientation. Very much like that. So I happen to think that looks pretty doggone good. Now, the next one involves, here's the other return roller, which are closer to the hull that Tamiya gives you. Pops right in there and looks like that. The real return roller is much closer to the hull and has a small base that it sits on the hull with 4 bolts, like so. It also has 2 lightning holes in it, but that's what it's supposed to look like. That's what it looks like in all the photos. And the front one on Tamiya's kit, this is too far forward. It should actually be right there, and then there should be one right here. And it should be down a little bit, just like that shows, compared to these other 2. So let's get to work setting that up. So what I'll do is I will, again, chop this off. Chop this off. And then just kind of clean it up as best I can. In this case, again, they're going to be glued over, but this one is going to need to be a little bit more cleanly done, because it's going to be, yeah, if you allow it to be, it's going to be visible when the work is done, because the return roller is going to go behind it or in front of it, or however you want to designate it. So clean that up relatively decent, and then I had pulled these off of the printing block, but I hadn't cleaned them up yet, so you can see. Now the way these were printed and cured, leave some little nubs and markings on the bottom. If you don't care about looking at it, doesn't matter. If it bothers you, it kind of looks like a little bit of the damage that you might see on a regular return roller rubber wheel after, you know, an afternoon driving around in this out in the field. And so I will put that one about right there. You can see it's a smidge lower. However, there. Should be almost the entire width of the thing back. It should not touch the bottom of these road wheel arms, and it should be distinctly lower. This one will go exactly where that is. Now I did create a set of return rollers to where the roller itself is separate from both the cone arm for the double roller and also the small base with the lightning hold wheels as well, if you really want to get into the detail and do it yourself. Now, just going to glue this on as well. Again, a little bit higher because you don't want it to supposedly interfere with the road wheel arm, but you want it a little bit higher. About like that. Now this probably could go forward and down a little bit more, but so right now we've got these on. I will eventually want to go in here and putty this up and these up right in here so that everything seems smooth. This is okay. Now we come to the back, and this is where the real mess is. So for Tamiya, they give you, I guess I gotta flip this over. For Tamiya, they give you this. That's our idea of the rear idler piece. It's really, really undefined and kind of annoying to me because it's way wrong. So, okay, what's it supposed to look like? So I'll take that off. This is what it's supposed to look like right here. There should be a small shock, tension or suspension type arm in there, and then there's 2 cylinders and the mounting piece right here for the idler, and this goes right there. And then on the opposite side, which is honestly the more important one in my mind, just when I was doing the work because of the complexity of fixing this and making it and figuring it out right, is it's triangular because like all these are offset because of the torsion bars, so was the idler setup. So this actually sits a little further out on this side from the one on this side. They are offset. And that's a very important thing to note. And then right next to this, Tamiya has, and I don't have the representation from the kit here, Tamiya has a piece that goes up against the rear door assembly. Well, in actuality, that piece should be there, and this should go on it like that, so that you still get the reinforced part with the door shut, mind you. This is meant for with the door shut, but it gives you the unique bottom piece right here that Tamiya does not give you. In fact, I do have a part that I can show you the difference on a different hull. Oh yeah, here we go. So right here you can see this is the part that Tamiya gives you, including the, you know, giving you the reinforced ribbing kind of thing, but they go all the way around the bottom, and that's not correct. This should not be here. So I created this part to take the place right there, like so, and then that idler piece goes on there, and it's much more correct. So at this point though, because this goes into step 3, I'm not going to mount this, and I'm going to refrain from mounting the return roller mounts until then, but I wanted to show you that that was done. And then finally we've got the road wheel, and I think I've shown you this before, but anyways, there's the corrected road wheel. There's no rim on this. There shouldn't be a rim. There's no rim on that. This is the one that I did for Tamiya kits. I will get the rest of these done. I am in the middle of printing these right now. And just for reference, this does not deal with step 2. I made spares so that they can go on the turret bustle, and these are correct with the correct bolts, bolt holes, and arrangement, and no rim, and the curve around. And finally, and I will not put these on yet either, but I wanted to show these as well, is on the bottom of the Bradley there are these mounts that once the rear door assembly is on, go right here and right here. Although technically they go a little bit closer towards the middle there. But anyways, these are present on the vehicle, and we will be showing those. Now, the final addition to this is the shock arms. Now, on the real vehicle, there are several of them, 4 per side. I'm just locating them right now because I'm not as organized as I should be at the moment. See what I mean? And that's assuming that I have these on the correct side, because I don't think that's correct. I think they should be, yeah, I think they should be more with these. And this is an important part with these. An important thing to note about these parts is what's the angle, what's going on. So in real life, these road wheel arms would stick out a little bit further. They would have a little protrusion on the bottom, and the actual shock would go and attach from the back side to the hull. I don't honestly believe that it's worth the work to sit and replace them at this point. It just seems extraordinary to try and do that. You might as well just go buy the Meng kit, start with a much better place, add detail as you see fit. And you can see that the return roller might interfere. Many moving parts, in no pun intended in this case. I just don't want to glue these down right this second. So just gotta find my last arm. there you go. I think I lost one of my pieces while I was working on here. You know, ta-da, professionalism. No, this is more like what really happens at the workbench. Anyways, so the last one, I'll take it from this spot. The last one goes on the front road wheel arm, way up here. So you have all that. Now you've actually got the road wheel arms. In this case, they're just more potentially represented rather than actually the way that they should be. I think that both the Meng and the Orochi kits capture this better, but there it is available. With the next video that I post, I will go over putting these on, because I want to put the rear of this kit on, show the bottom stuff, show the idler mounts. But I think I've done enough at this point to show just how much work has had to go into getting through step 2. It seems like a huge thing. And with that, we will stop there, and we will do a hybrid step 2, 3 next time. See you then.